Senator Eric Schmitt. Mr. Schmitt, welcome back. I hope I didn't overstate the case, but this is bad finance, and it's actually bad politics. These guys, this is the gang that can't shoot straight. Now, the question is, can you stop this latest several tranches of student loan bailouts?
Yeah, I think they'll get stopped at the Supreme Court. You know, when I was Attorney General of Missouri, we brought that lawsuit on the original student loan debt relief scam case and won because the Supreme Court knew this was an overreach. There wasn't a mandate from Congress to go do it. Missouri had standing to bring the lawsuit because Missouri actually has an entity called MOHELA, which is a little-known loan servicing organization within the state, and that provided the standing, which what the case hinged on. So my guess is, as these cases, these challenges now they're being brought by other AGs, will follow a similar path and be struck down. But to your point, Larry, this is just simply a cynical election year ploy to try to go after younger voters. It's not going to work. It's also a middle finger to working class folks who either worked through college or didn't take debt at all, or, you know, a bunch of different scenarios. And it's all an effort to sort of cater to the people he's losing because his economy is so bad. It's twice as expensive now to buy a home. If you're trying to get into your first house, it's literally twice as expensive to do that because of interest rates than just a few years ago. Every time you go to the grocery store, every time you go to Home Depot, whatever it is, things are 20, 30, 40% more expensive. The cost to heat your home, the cost to fuel your car, everything's higher because of Joe Biden. And so here it is now, an election year. He knows, well, I don't know what he thinks is really going to happen, but ultimately this is going to be struck down, but it'll be after the election. And I think that's entirely the point by this cynical ploy.
But you know what's so dumb about this? I mean, the financing. These loans were stuck in the education department, socialized or nationalized, so they could provide revenues to support Obamacare. That's the part that I loved. I loved it then, and I love that notion even more. Now, here's how dumb the Bidens are. The Bidens are taking that money out of Obamacare. Now, I know they'll just sell some more debt, Senator Schmitt. I understand that's the way the world works under this big government socialist administration, but I do find it somewhat amusing and awfully dumb.
Well, it's one big shell game. They don't take this seriously. Look, we're $35 trillion in debt, Larry. You know this. And in a blink of an eye, we're going to be at 40. These numbers just simply aren't sustainable. We're paying about $1 trillion a year to pay for the interest of that debt, which is more than we pay on our military. We've got to get serious about it. But you can't do that when you have people like this who are in charge. And by the way, if you think this is such a good idea, Congress should have to vote on it.
Yes.
But there's a reason why they don't want to do that. You know, the Green New Deal is another example. Think of all these mandates they're pushing out now through administrative executive action that would never get the votes in the United States Senate or never get the votes in the House. This is all they've got left. And thankfully, hopefully the Supreme Court will strike this down like they did before, because that original case, Larry, that I brought as AG, that was $500 billion. That was $500 billion the taxpayers saved. And now he's trying to inch his way back into that territory with new schemes. But they're unlawful, and by the way, again, an insult to the American people.
So speaking of unconstitutional and unlawful, as I understand it, Republican senators are insisting on bringing the impeachment of DHS Secretary Mayorkas into the Senate for an actual trial. And if Chuck Schumer tries to stop it, you all are going to basically shut the Senate down until it gets going. Can you tell us a little more about this high-intentioned idea?
Yeah, so in the history of our country, Larry, in over 240 plus years, there has never been an instance, never, where articles of impeachment came over from the House of Representatives that the United States Senate didn't perform its constitutional duty of having a trial to the extent that somebody was actually still in office or alive. So it's never happened. So regardless of how Democrats may want to vote on this, convict or not convict, we're sworn in our constitutional order to have a trial. What Chuck Schumer is likely going to try to do next week is to file a motion to table or dismiss before there's a trial. It's never been done, so it's unconstitutional. It bulldozes any precedent, all because he's afraid of a news cycle. So we're going to use every procedural tool we have in the toolbox to get to a place, sadly, that we should just be at under normal circumstances, which is the Senate to perform its constitutional duty and, you know, and judge this as the impeachment articles come over.
Well, you've got leverage, as I understand it. I'm just reading some articles, you and Tom Lee and some other. You all can stop business in the Senate until Mr. Schumer goes back to the correct constitutional approach, which is to deal with this trial.
Yeah, and we're going to do it. Look, again, regardless of how you feel, I mean, if politically speaking, Mayorkas belongs on the Mount Rushmore of worst cabinet members in the history of the United States. But from a legal perspective, he's also subverted the laws of the United States, whether it be parole or catch and release or a memo he issued urging employees to ignore longstanding immigration laws. So there's a lot of evidence that can be presented, and as a legal matter, we should, vote to convict or not convict, depending on how you see it. But the fact is, it's really important that the Senate actually do this because, Chuck Schumer is sort of acting like a day trader here, very short-sighted. And if he does this, if he nukes impeachment trials in the Senate, which is what he's proposing, there won't be one again. There won't be one again if the party in the Senate is the same party of official coming over. And we have a higher calling due to our Constitution. We've always abided by that, and it shouldn't change because Chuck Schumer's afraid of the facts in the news cycle that would highlight what a disaster the border's been. 9 million people here illegally, crime, fentanyl, national security crisis, all of those things because Secretary Mayorkas refuses to do his job.
Yeah, got it. The other one, Senator Schmitt, so interesting. I wanted to ask you, I'm drawing on your legal beagleness. Joe Biden is trying to unleash the whole federal bureaucracy to go out and harvest votes to reelect him. I mean, this is fantastic. Executive orders and exhortations, HHS registering voters, HUD doing registration and ballot harvesting and public housing projects. I love this. Education, pushing high schools and colleges to register and turn out votes. Wait a second. Agriculture Department, if you get SNAP or WIC, the food programs, you're going to register voters and harvest them. Then here's one of my favorites. The Justice Department, you're going to love this. You may know this already because you're such a smart fella. The Bureau of Prisons and Marshal Services registering and encouraging inmates to vote. Ballot harvesting in the prisons. Although I got to tell you, some of those prisoners might like Donald Trump's spirit a lot more than Joe Biden's. But anyway, whatever happened to the Hatch Act? What are these government bureaucrats doing? And I read someplace, tell me if I'm wrong, they're going to get paid administrative leave to go out for this ballot harvesting. I mean, this is democracy? Really?
Yeah, no, this is, by the way, one of the most important reasons why Donald Trump needs to be back into office, because I believe in my conversations with him, I know that he's committed to this, and I'm committed to being his partner. I know a lot of other senators are, which is to fundamentally change the administrative state, to dismantle it. It's gotten way too powerful. Our founders never intended these unelected bureaucrats who aren't accountable to anybody. You don't even know their name, or you never even heard of the agency, and they wield all this authority over your lives and your liberty. We've got to get back to the place where, if this is such a good idea, like I said earlier, Congress should vote on it. If you think you should ban gas stoves, make us vote on it. Be accountable to the voters, as opposed to some deputy undersecretary of some alphabet agency. It's totally ridiculous. But again, this is sort of the final stage of the Democrats' desperation. They know what's awaiting them in November. This is my belief. They know they're going to lose. They've lost, folks. The Republican Party now, I'm happy to say, is a multi-ethnic, working class party, and they see what's happening to our country, and it's time to save it.
I agree. By the way, I think the prisoners are going to vote for Trump. Anyway, we will see. Senator Schmitt, as a joke, but I think they like his spirit. The prisoners aren't going to vote for some wussy big government socialist guy. I don't think so. But Senator Eric Schmitt, thank you, sir. It's great to see you.